Welcome to another episode of Teen Minds Redefined. And today we have a conversation every parent of a teen needs to hear. I'm joined by Kevin Baker, a certified professional life coach with a passion for empowering teenagers to build confidence, break through limiting beliefs, and discover true happiness. Kevin helps teens develop the inner strength needed to navigate the complexities of life, from social media pressures to emotional growth. Stay tuned, because Kevin is sharing the strategies that can transform how you support your teen. Welcome, Kevin Baker.
Oh, thanks for having me, Cheryl. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about this stuff.
Me too. I'm going through all of your stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to ask you about this, and I want to talk about this. And there's just so many things. But let's start with what makes Kevin Baker tick? Why is he here? What's the mission? All of the Kevin things.
Yes. What makes me tick is I'm a helper, and I love to help people. And it makes me feel so good when I can see my efforts pay off for other people.
Yeah.
And so I find, so much purpose and so much fulfillment in what I do, especially helping teens and tweens. That's why I became a certified teen life coach, was because, I'm in the thick of it. I've three kiddos. I have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And, life is hard out there for kids with everything they're up against, and, school and social media and friendships and, all the things. A lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of thoughts about that.
My first question now is, how do they like you coaching them?
They do not like me coaching. It doesn't work actually on my own kids.
No. So there's your
really
mic drop, parents.
It's really interesting.
Yes.
I try to be stealth about it. I try and ask the questions that I think will get me the answers that they need to tell themselves. And, we go through all the things, but, and it's a great way for me to practice, but really it does work a lot better, with other kids, just to be another trusted adult, with a fully developed frontal cortex that can help them realize the emotions they're feeling, figure out what thought it was that they had that made them feel that emotion, and then to change the thought, to make it a better thought that's going to give them a better feeling, that's going to give them a better result. And that's what we do.
And so parents who are, Googling what questions to ask, it doesn't work. You need to have somebody else doing this. I was 28 years in high school, and I had two of my own grown-ass kids now. And if you think I could help them with homework or I could tell them how life works, nope. I was born 40. I have zero experience. I know nothing except how to nag. And that was it. And that's just our role. So instead of stressing out your world at home, parents, just look for a coach. Let's start with that.
But, and the other thing that makes me tick is I was so fortunate growing up to have so many mentors, and they weren't coaches at the time, but they were people that got me involved that I met through, like being in the theater, and, doing the stage crew stuff, or people that I met through, sports, or, just trusted adults that cheered you on, and became your confidant. And we're just like, the adult that wasn't your parent, that was telling you, being honest with you, and telling you things, and cheering you on, and making you feel really good.
Yeah.
And making you feel like you were making good choices, without your parents being there. And and I like to pay that forward, because I had so many great mentors. So that's what makes me tick too.
It's so important. That's so important. I love, and the more trusted adults you can find in your kids' world, like, the better. It's not all on you to carry that weight. Like, there's people out there for sure. And there's a lot of, difficult conversations that we need to have with our kids. But if we have our own trauma, it's very different for us to try and navigate it for our kids. So sometimes we have to reach out and find, a different person who specializes in different areas. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And the baggage that we come into parenting with, from our childhood experiences, you know, that are passed down generations.
Yes.
You know, it gives us a different perspective.
Yeah.
So we look at things way differently. Like parents just look at things way differently than other adults.
Yeah. I say in every episode, we can't parent the way we used to parent, and we can't parent the way we were parented.
Mhm.
Life is very different. There's too many other things out there, and we need to like shift gears there for sure. And, you know, a lot of parents will say, well, it worked when I was young, and this is what I did, and blah, blah, blah. And the first thing I think is, well, if you needed brain surgery, would you go to the surgeon from 1964?
Mm.
Or would you go to one that's trained a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. Great point.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, okay, why teens? Like, why teens? What is it about the teen connection that makes you feel like this is the place for me?
Well, I have this really uncanny ability to make friends and build rapport and connection with teenagers and young adults,
Mm.
because I don't want to like pat myself on the back, but I'm pretty cool.
Mm.
And like we talk about the video games, and we talk about music, and we talk about movies and stuff that's going on, and you know, we talk about like who's sus, you know, and who's got the riz, and you know, all this stuff. And yeah, they laugh at me a little bit sometimes when I say that, but for the most part, like I can connect with them, and I understand, and I listen
Mm.
to them, and I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like being able to go back in time, you know, 30 years and tell my younger self things about
Mhm.
experiences that like they might not consider yet.
Yeah.
And um it I think that if we can help young adults and teenagers at that age, they'll be able to have such a more positive impact in their own lives,
Mhm.
if we can adjust their thoughts now. Like the kiddos that are saying right now, they're like, I can't do that, you know, and I'll never be good enough, or I'm never gonna make it. Like if we can change that thought now at the age of 12,
Yeah.
you know, instead of at the age of 35,
Mhm.
like just think about how much more success and happiness they're gonna have in their lives.
Yeah. So limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Oh, it's all about, yeah, limiting beliefs.
So can you tell me do teens have a like this myriad of limiting beliefs, but are they very focused to teens? Like, what do they? Is there a specific conversation all that teens always seem to struggle with this? They always seem to struggle with this. What limiting beliefs do they pinpoint to you? Is there?
Uh, I mean, the number one thing is, you know, I'm not good enough,
Yeah.
you know, or I'm never gonna make it. And, you know, they get that from a lot of the, you know, the input that they get from social media when they see, you know, like the highlight reels, you know, of all these people's lives out there doing all these fancy, expensive things on vacation every day, apparently.
With a
You know,
Ferrari.
yeah, with the Ferrari on the yacht. And the kids are like, oh, I don't have that. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, my parents don't have that even. Like, I don't know. I I might not make it. Like, you know, maybe I'm not good enough for that. Like, why don't I have that? Like they get the FOMO.
Yeah.
And parents, you know, one of the things parents can do is, you know, explain to their kids that like, hey, this isn't real. You know, like this took, you know, 2 weeks to edit. And it's just not real life. This is like just people selling you stuff, and just give kids a reality check on that. And the more we can be that voice in their head when they're watching these things, scrolling through like, oh, that's not real. Oh, like, you know, that took 2 weeks to edit. You know, if
Mhm.
you can hear your parents' voice in your head when you're scrolling through that stuff, then maybe you won't think it's truth.
Yeah.
You know, then maybe you'll take it with a grain of salt and realize that, okay, I'm not really missing out because this isn't real.
So if a parent has that limiting belief,
Mm.
how are they how would they be able to shift it so they are
Well, you really have to go back to the original like traumatic event that gave them that belief.
okay, and probably the way they were parented.
Yeah, or
Oh,
somebody
no.
said something to them at some point that, gave them that belief. I remember that, I was in, second grade. I went to Catholic school in New York growing up. And, I remember looking up at the priest and he asked me, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to be a baseball player." And he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, you'll never be good enough." And that thing stuck with me, and like compounded, because once you have baggage, it just gets bigger and bigger,
Yeah,
over
start looking
time.
for evidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's like, then you think it's a truth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like it's not a fact, you know.
Yeah.
And so things like that, inputs like that happen all the time. People don't even realize
Mm-hmm.
that they're giving kids inputs, but like kids are like sponges,
Yeah.
and so, but the good part is, once that neural pathway is created and that like negative thought is there, um, you can change it, and you can rewire the brain to have a more positive, empowering thought if you work at it.
How?
Well, it's like going to the gym. It's like building a muscle, it's like you have to work at it, repeat it, and think it. You have to think the positive thought
Mm-hmm.
5 or 10 times more often than you do the negative thought, and then it will become the recurring thought that you have. And then once you have the recurring thought of, I am good enough
Yeah.
and I am going to make it with practice. And if I try hard and if I keep at it, like I can do this,
Yeah.
then you're empowered and like you're limitless and you just keep going. Like whatever you think of at that point, you can accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so here's what I want. How do teens, you're a teen coach, how are they receptive to this information? Because we're talking to parents who are like, oh my God, they're never going to listen to me. They're going to think I'm done. How receptive are teens to this kind of information?
Well, I don't actually tell them all that.
Okay, say more.
They figure it out themselves. That's the only way they're going to learn it, is if they figure it out themselves.
Okay. And what is the process?
We build rapport.
Mm-hmm.
I listen deeply to what they're feeling and why, whether they're feeling like hopeless or unmotivated or disappointed, or maybe they're excited or passionate about something. I've listened for the feeling, and then we figure out the thought that they're having that's causing that feeling. So it's well, why are you excited? Well, I'm excited because I'm starting this new thing. Okay. Well, why are you feeling hopeless? Well, I feel hopeless because my friend is going on this vacation, and my parents, we don't go anywhere.
Mm.
We stay home, we do this, we don't go on vacation. Okay, well, that's normal for you to feel like you're not getting something that your friends are, and like they're better off than you. But what fun things does your family do? We talk through that, and then so they see like, actually, yeah, we do have this big trip coming up, and it is going to be a great time. It's like, okay, well, now you've changed the thought and have a much better emotion, and then they can see that when they change their thought, they have a better emotion, and then they have a better action.
And so it's what I'm thinking the whole time you're saying this is you're not giving them the answer. You're not giving them the Band-Aid solution.
Yeah.
They are figuring out for themselves.
Yeah, you have to let their brain go through the work of doing it.
Yeah.
And that way it's like, yeah, you don't put a Band-Aid on it. You don't, what's the saying? It's like, you teach them to fish.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they have that skill forever.
Forever. Yeah.
So as they start to, they're 35 and feeling a little low or feeling a little, they go back to, oh, I know how to work this out. I know how
Yeah.
to, because all the,
It's just building awareness. Yeah. Once they can build awareness that they're having that thought that's making them feel then they can think any thought and give themselves whatever feeling they'd like.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to, show gratitude and feel the gratitude and like be grateful and think about all the things that are right, and think about all the things that you're excited about. And then you can keep your feelings really positive with the positive thoughts. And when you have those positive feelings, then you act positively and have better results.
Yeah. And parents can be totally demonstrating this all day long with their own conversation because, they don't hear us, they see us, they watch us. And so if we're demonstrating those skills on our own, instead of thinking that we have to be, I think we had this whole era of parenthood where we just had to have all the answers and we just had to be perfect. And we didn't struggle. We didn't let them see us struggle. And so they didn't learn how to do these things. It's like you said, we're waiting till we're 35 because we didn't learn any of it. We didn't see anybody doing it. And I call myself out. I had to be perfect. I was like the old Google mom. I had to have all the answers. And, and it's now I'm thinking, there's so many times I could have said, that's not a very, empowering thought, or that's not helpful or whatever. Let me switch that out loud. The kids are hearing you say these things and figuring out, that kind of shifted how she looks right now. She's not so angry and grumpy. And so when parents are thinking about getting a coach, like a parent would say, you know what? I'm in this situation. I really need a coach for my kid. What are they doing? What are they thinking? What are they asking?
I guess they're frustrated and they're confused and trying to figure out, like why, maybe they're really frustrated with their kiddo and what's going on at home or at school. And they just don't know like what they're doing wrong. And they don't know how to connect. And they're not sure, they're probably not sure what to do because they have so many thoughts. Because, the parenting is so emotional because most parents, and you said this before, learn how to be a parent from the way they parented them. And when it's not going the right way, they have this like inner emotion that makes them feel like they're not a good parent because of how the way things are happening. And, it's not a fact that they're not a good parent. Parenting is just hard. And when you're dealing with a little human, that doesn't really understand yet the difference between like the emotions and, the reasoned thoughts that they're having, and it's all mixed together with a bunch of different hormones and everything else that's going on. Parenting's hard. And so most of the time they're looking for results. They're looking for their kid to get better grades, make more friends, spend less time online or on a screen, or like show some motivation and some effort in what they're doing. And those are all things that, when I first talk to parents, we call out like, hey, what results do you want to see? Because those are the things we're going to focus on. And then we say, okay, well, we want, Billy to make 3 more friends this year at school. It's like, okay, 3 more friends. That's totally doable. You want them to go from B's to A's. We can accomplish that. We're probably not going to go from D's to A's.
Yeah.
But we can go from B's to A's for sure. But we can make progress. And so that's what they're looking for. They're looking for results. And then we outline the results. We have a call to sort of to brief on everything. And then we start talking to the young adults and the teenagers and see what's going on with them and see how we can get those results.
Is there ever a disconnect between the results the parent wants and the result the kid wants once you start talking?
No, they just say it differently.
Okay.
So, a lot of it's like, well, the parent just wants the kid to be happy, and the kid just wants to be, successful. and a lot of times you just have to like define, well, like, what does happiness mean to you, mom and dad, and and to like teenager, what does success mean to you? Because sometimes different words mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
And, the kids just want to make the parents happy, really, deep down. And the parents just want the kids to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody really wants the same thing. It's just about like navigating like what that all means and how do we get there and how do we get on the same page, and communication and connection is the main thing that everybody's got to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. So if a parent is really struggling and they just don't know the signs of what kind of emotional struggle their kids are actually going through, how do they get from I'm watching my kid struggle to I need some coaching for this kid? Like, are they reaching out to you first? Do you have to have all this buy-in with the kid right away? Like, what is that? Because sometimes, parents can be a little controlling. Just a little.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can helicopter parent. Sometimes we can smother the kids as opposed to support. So can you talk about that? The difference between, us completely as parents, completely controlling how things are going to go and how the help, or how they can kind of release some of that control. Maybe you tell me, how come when they do that, if they're in this like spiral vortex of, I just want to be 18 and grow up and get out of this house, right? That's the saddest thing I ever hear, is just wishing these teen years away. So how can they like find that line?
Yeah, I think the best advice that I can give is to really listen to what's going on with your kiddo and what they're saying and how they're acting. But when the parent is like truly frustrated and they don't know what to do, listening to podcasts like yours, it's probably one of the best things they can do to start the wheels turning on, like, I'm not the only one out here, facing all these struggles and dealing with this. Like are there 63 million parents that are struggling right now? I read on the Attorney General's thing that he put out. I mean, there's a lot of the community is huge. Like, you're not alone. You're not alone, and you're a good parent for recognizing that something's not right.
Yes.
Like, great call. There's a red flag. Like, something's going on, and you have to figure out the thing. And noticing that there's a problem is the first step. And there's so many resources out there, just like this podcast, that can help people understand that. And life coaching for parents is a big thing. Like, I think, people go and take their class, their pre-birthing class at the hospital, before you're going to have a baby, which is like, which is a thing a lot of people do. But no one takes the teenager class, and that is, and I don't know if anybody takes the, like the toddler class. Maybe some people take the toddler class, but the 5-year-old class, I don't think anybody takes that one. It's tough. It's really tough. There's not a lot of good, well-known, there are resources out there. I've talked to many people actually on podcasts that are experts like you, but that, they work with, 3 to 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds. So there are people out there, but the resources just aren't as well known, but they are out there. And I think this call might motivate me to like build the thing, to like put the resource out there for everybody, to know that like they're not alone.
Yeah. It is so friggin' hard. It's so hard. It's just, and I worked with parents for 28 years. It is hard, and you're not failing if you're still trying. That's I just got to say that, because parents are just, and there's so many like really tough issues. But if you can but like reach out. Like there's so much out there. There really
Yeah,
is.
so
And
much.
there's no shame in reaching out. And there's no, like you said, you're not alone. Oh my goodness. The feedback from, different topics that we talk about is like, oh, me too, me too, me too. Where do I find that?
Mhm.
And it's, it doesn't have to be your job to fix everything in the house. And that's why you have people like Kevin. So
And
I
a
want,
lot of the times, what
Mhm.
I suggest is to, let the kids make choices,
Oh,
and let them figure it out.
starting with like what?
If they, starting with, um, if they would like some food or something, they're asking you for something. It's like, okay, well, you can go figure that out. Here's the plan. We're having dinner at this time. Go, pick a good snack, try and be healthy, and see what happens. And just, start to give them more power and more power to make decisions and make choices and understand that it's okay to make mistakes. Like that's when we learn. But that will sort of help them to understand that, oh, wait a minute, like I have control of what I can choose, and I have the ability to make good choices and I have the ability to make bad choices. And let's see what the consequences are for making a good choice and the consequences for making a bad choice, and see how that goes. And that's how they learn. That's how their brains learn. But when parents hold on too much, and
Mm.
when they don't give their kids the rope to make their own choices and to go out and learn how to be a human being, like that is when the kids are going to stick around too long. Like that's when you've actually, done too much,
Mhm.
and you've done too much for them, and now they can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it because they never learned how, because you've been doing it the whole time.
Yeah. And I feel like it demonstrates so clearly to the kids that you don't have faith in them. If you're making all these decisions and fixing all the problems and running the homework back to school and, packing their lunch when they're 16, I feel like you're just not showing that you have any faith in them to make these decisions and fall from grace and pick themselves up and brush themselves off. We can still always have their back, but we have to let them fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? They don't know how to fix anything.
Yeah,
Ugh.
you bounce back stronger, and the things that catch them are the values that we instill, and the really the character traits, and all the things that we want them to be kind and respectful
Mm.
and, trustworthy and good friends, and, all these things. Those are the things that are going to keep them from making really, really, really big mistakes, because, that's what parents' job are. Put those core values in there. So no matter what happens, they're going to be okay. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So my son's 34, and whenever he's going to do something, and he's married, and he'll say, I know, Mom, I'll make good choices.
yeah, it's a good one.
I'm like, okay, it's stuck. Something stuck. Oh my goodness.
Perfect.
So I just want to ask a question about when we were saying, I just want my kids to be happy.
Mm.
How do we encourage our kids, human beings, period, to find that the happiness starts internally and not externally? Is there, and I know this is probably a whole book and a conversation and a mirror and a movie, but is there a couple of things that you can share with parents that might help with that?
Um, yeah, I mean and it's an interesting conversation to have, with a teen or a young adult regarding happiness, because there's so much that comes into play.
Mm.
Um, Happiness can be achieved in many different ways. There's like a synthetic happiness that you can find, and there's authentic happiness
Mm.
that you can have. And authentic happiness is, being able to be happy with yourself, like no matter what happens on the exterior. It's a state of mind that is achieved when you have, um certain relationships and meaningful purpose in your life. And you have passions, and you have people that you care about. And so it's a whole checklist of things that'll make you happy. It is a book. Well, we can maybe on the sequel we'll get into the whole thing.
Bingo.
But really, letting kids know that they are the ones that they have to live with for the rest of their lives, and no one else. And until you love yourself, you can't love anybody else authentically. Like you have to love yourself, and you have to love everything about yourself. And if there's something about yourself that you don't love, we have to figure out what it is and why, and how do we change it so you do love it, because it's so important. And once you love yourself and you practice self-love and care in every aspect, then you will be able to go out and help other people and be able to love other people. But you have to fill up your own cup first. And only then after that can you pour out of it, for other people. So self-love and self-care is like the most important thing that
I love that you talk about that. And do you have ways that you give for teens for self-love? Like, is there something that they resonate with? Like, I meditate, I journal, I walk, all of those things. Are there a couple of different things that teens really resonate with in the sense of self-care and self-love?
Yeah. I mean, none of them get enough sleep.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's really diet for them. It's diet, exercise, and sleep. It's like, that's the foundation. And you have to nail those things. And it's so important for them to get all the sleep, because there's so many things grabbing at their attention, whether it's school or social media or video games or after school sports or whatever it is. They're like telling me they're getting 6 hours of sleep, and I'm like, you can save that for college, and you need 9 hours or 10 hours of sleep right now. And so that's really important. And then just focusing on diet and exercise, and trying to really instill the sense that successful people are really just a combination of good habits. And if you can put together a string of 5 or 6 good habits that you do every day that help you to sleep better and eat better and exercise more, you're off to a great start.
Totally manageable.
Doesn't
cost $1 million. You don't have to filter your video for it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. That's great. All right. One last thing I'm going to ask. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you change for teens? What would you like? I can just do this, and this is what's going to happen.
I'd make all the screens go away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd turn it back, and let me. I wouldn't make them all go away. I would make them so they could only use the screens at school for educational purposes and to better their lives, not for time wasting, and not for dopamine rushes.
Bingo, mic drop.
And not for babysitters either.
Oh. It's amazing. Like, and this is again a whole other show, but to go to even a restaurant and see the 2-year-olds with the iPad, like, what are you doing? I'm judging you right now.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm judging you right now. If this is what you're doing, I'm judging you, because it's just, oh my gosh, the whole addiction thing that these poor kids are just, and you're right. Like, I'm thinking, I don't know, 16, 17, maybe you get a cell phone. There's no reason for it. There's literally no reason for it. Oh, I have to get a hold of them at school. School has a phone. Oh, I'm going to be late picking them up. School still has a phone and a PA system. You don't need to be. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
That's the thing. That's the detriment. That's that's the downfall of this generation of kids, is they unfortunately, it's been kind of normalized, for kids to be on screens, and it's not freaking normal.
No,
You
no,
know, it's not normal,
no.
and it's
Well,
not good for them.
even here, they're saying
Yeah.
no cell phones at school. They're trying to enforce it now at school.
Yeah, it's
And
like
I'm
going back.
telling you, all the teachers, not all the teachers, so many teachers I worked with sitting at their desk. The phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Modeling. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. No, we got to get rid of these screens. Let's make it a mission.
yeah. You
I've been
follow is it John Hyatt who wrote the book The Anxious Generation? He's got a whole campaign about just killing this. You should follow him on Instagram or Facebook. He's all over
done.
the New York Times too.
I love it. Is there strategies to say to a parent? You've got, well, this is going to be another show, but I'm going to say one more thing, because now I'm going to go down the screen path. Your kid is adamant, like just not putting the screen down. What do you say? What is your strategy?
Listen, we need a boundary. Listen, here's the boundary. If I ask you 2 times and it's still not away, then it goes away.
Yeah, you don't need to be their friend, right?
No, that's the boundary. And so it's like, these are the rules we have.
Yeah.
And, you can have it. You are allowed, how much screen time do you think you need? And okay, you think you need an hour a day. All right. Well, I think we can do that. That sounds reasonable to me. Let's do that. What time would you like to do it? Let them set the rules.
Yes.
Okay, but after that hour, that's the boundary.
Yeah.
And if you cross that boundary, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to get taken away. Okay, great. So we're on the same page. Go ahead and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Communication is big. And I know that, if you have a friend that you're playing with on the thing and you have to go and they make you feel bad about having to go, well, then we need to revisit the friendship there. Because then they're not your friend, they're just a person.
Yes.
They're just a person on the other end of that thing. They're not your friend.
So good. So good. Yep. 100%. Oh, this has been such a great conversation. I could probably go for another 4 hours. So we'll do
we can do it again next week or whenever you want.
Let's pick one topic and go crazy. That's perfect. Okay, Kevin, where do we work with you? How do we find you? All the Kevin stuff.
Yeah, lifecoachkevin.com is my website, and you can find me on Instagram at lifecoachkevin and on Facebook at Teen Life Coach. And happy to chat with parents out there who are seeing some red flags and want to talk about results they want to see, and we'll put together a customized plan for your kiddo, and everybody will be in good shape moving forward.
Amazing. And definitely go on the website, because I looked at all of it. Was looking at on your Instagram all the success stories that you have on there, the little clips, and that was just oh, this is great, and this is great. So do it. I'll put everything in the show notes. Great. Kevin, thank you so much. I so appreciate this. I love the work that you do. We need more people doing what you do. It's just amazing. It's magic. And I thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Teen Minds Redefined, and we'll see you next time.